I can never find happiness was the motto I lived by. Countless nights of drinking made me into someone I'd never wanted to be. Here I lay in a bed without blankets, decaying in my own filth, wiping away a mix of mustard and cigarettes with a page of Charles Bukowski. This particular morning was one of the bad kinds. My memory from yesterday was non-existent. Normally I would remember at least bits, whatever. Maybe my phone would have answers of what happened, but the only thing I could find was a splattered backside and the reflection of my sad eyes staring at me. It got me close to feel at least something, but got immediately interrupted, as if my soul tried to defend itself. Staring down the toilet until I found the strength to crawl into the shower, where past regrets comes pouring down on me. The only warmth I feel is the heated floor in front of the shower. I feel almost safe enough to escape into the land of dreams. I always have the same dream. I find myself between two doors as if I can choose. One feels light and full of love. The other one is made of fear and sin. I want to feel love as everyone else and always come close. But the heat always wins. The red light sucking me in.
The Start of Decay. The Start of Decay is a reference to my glorious high school days, where I did nothing more than smoking weed, causing havoc of all kinds of sorts, and was a heavy drinker back then. So yeah, I made a little montage out of some footage I found from that times, and I put a song underneath it that I made as well. And I don't know if you like it. It's like not the typical way to tell a story, I think. I was doing bad shit all the time. Almost dying and breaking half my skull while trying to flip on a trampoline after being pissed drunk, as you can probably tell by the asymmetry of my whole face. And also stupid shit like showing my behind to the police, which is kind of funny but was very expensive. When I was young, I always had a camera with me. And throughout these last 2 years, I picked it up again. It was an old camera my great uncle used to carry around with him. Sometimes I started to take it with me when I drank, and in a way it made the drinking make more sense. So I was about to enlist in studying photography, but for some reason, and I don't know why to this day, I started to study film directing instead. Even though the drinking did not stop entirely, it got less, and instead I enjoyed being in university, producing stupid little short films like this one, where I pretended to be a cat. Or this one, Our First Pursuit. Or my Magnus Opus of my first year, a typical first-year student film noir story about a femme fatale murdering triplets for the sake of art. And two young detectives, myself one of them of course, and a friend of mine who's actually talented, solving the case. For the first time in a long time, I wasn't bored. I think I was almost happy, at least close. But as always, when somebody is immersed in his innocence of enjoying something, the devil lurks behind the corner. My then girlfriend broke up with me. I couldn't understand why, because I've never been better both physically and mentally. At least that's what I thought. But now I think that maybe that was exactly the point. Leaving me when she felt I was strong enough to handle it. I was not. My descent then continued from where it paused, worse than ever before. Drugs and sexual degeneracy introduced themselves, further rotting my hurting soul.
Nobody was gonna save me and I didn't care. This happened a month before my planned gap year, or exchange year, to Estonia. When you're already in hell, every step further down feels greater than the step before. I had to make the choice to either stay and continue feeling sorry for myself or temporarily escape my further downfall, and I wonder to this day how I found the courage to step into the plane. Thank God I did. Estonia, Tallinn.
Yes.
The first night I went out with my roommates, who went home earlier. I lost the apartment keys in a strip club some guys I met invited me to, when I was already blackout drunk stumbling through the outskirts of Tallinn, and I had to pay for a new lock the next day. From then on I decided to maybe consider drinking less for the time being, and also because my roommates were pretty pissed. Class of 10 directors. Everyone had to pitch a film. After electing, 3 of them would get financed. I read an article once about a young male breaking into complete strangers' properties to have sexual intercourse with the lawn. He was attracted to grass. It sounded so absurd that I pitched it, knowing it would probably not get taken. Well, it did. So now I had to deal with the responsibility, which was new. I now had to create a story based upon that article. The professor hated the idea, hated the article, I think also hated me from the beginning. But that hate fueled me in a weird way, in a sense that I still don't know if I like it or not. After we formed our crew, it was time to write the script, so for the next 2 weeks I did just that. No drinking, but a lot of cigarettes. It felt effortless, as if my hands were their own person writing for themselves. Proud as an ox, I handed the script to my professor. He hated every single bit of it. Great. Don't let it get to you. Next task was to get more money, so my professor's suggestion was to start a Kickstarter campaign. For those who don't know, Kickstarter is a website where you can pitch your art projects to a digital audience with a specific financial goal, and people can contribute with small donations until that specific amount of money is reached. If it isn't, everyone gets their money back. It sounded great, but it wasn't. For the Kickstarter, we had to film a mood trailer. A mood trailer where it gets clear that the film will be about a lawn-fucking young male who gets hunted by society after the government decided to prohibit every sexual contact with lawn. We stood up in the middle of the night, drove to a secluded forest, dug a hole into the frozen ground surrounding the last bit of grass that was not buried under tons of snow, and filmed and edited it the same night. Again, proud as hell, we went to the professor the next day to show him our masterpiece. He hated every bit of it. I think he aged 2 years the second we showed the trailer. Next, find actors. Problem? Estonian accent in English would sound cheap. Solution? Film in Estonian. Find a dolmetscher then. Alright. Next step, find location. Must have big garden to use lawn. Check. Convince owner we make a documentary about Estonia's most beautiful gardens. Check. The deadline came closer. No lead actor yet. Fuck. I talked to my cameraman. Well, what if... No, he interrupted me, knowing what I would suggest. But Woody Allen did it as well. Woody Allen married his underage stepdaughter, so I hope you're not Woody Allen. I didn't mean that, I respond. I know, he said. Well, do it then. I'll do it. Fuck it. So I was about to play the lead while directing my first 30-minute short film in a language I didn't speak and without any real acting experience. Which will show obviously, but that's not the point. A recipe for disaster. That's what my professor said the next day after we told him. He was shaking his head and couldn't stop to do so the rest of the day. He wasn't even able to look at us, convinced we will probably get sued or die or something like that. We didn't care anymore. It was time for action and no room for fear. 6 days of filming in a row, up to 14 hours a day, most of it outside at around -20 degrees Celsius. The tension was high, everyone on edge, some close to insanity. We did it. The next 2 weeks I was not able to look at the material because I took the ferry to Finland to celebrate Christmas with my family. I looked at them, smiling at each other, sitting on a way too small table in some place in Finland, the whole family together. I was grateful and ashamed at the same time that it took me until 22 before I realized how privileged I am to see the beauty in a moment like this, as simple as it may sound. After coming back, well rested and 10 pounds heavier, editing began. The feeling of seeing something that transferred from your brain to a piece of paper that then evolves into a film, and seeing that film on a big screen is one of the most magical moments I'd ever witnessed. I knew what I wanted to do with my life, what I was meant to do, probably. But as you know, the devil is always close when you feel you might just make it. So he striked again. His weapon this time, false pride. The day of the premiere arrived, screening the film for the first time in front of over 100 people. Everyone was there, the actors, the organization who financed the film, the owner of the Airbnb whose lawn we sodomized, and also my professor sitting nervously in his chair, anticipating his ass getting fired after the screening. Everyone loved it. I heard laughter, ohs and ahs and cheering after it ended. After living in Estonia for 6 months now, I've never experienced this variety of emotions coming from an Estonian person. Must be the weather. At the after-show party, my professor came to me. I expected him to try another way of bringing me down again, but instead he said, "Lenny, I think that you should continue what you do the way you do." To hear that made me sad in a way I can't describe, but also relieved and proud. I asked, how shall I proceed? And he replied, just film. And with these 2 words pondering in my head, I flew back home. The Devil Part 2. Just film, he said. Just film. Fucking adults. Always giving advice that could mean 100 different things. Or just one. I don't know. That's when COVID happened, and just film, however you want to interpret it, became a utopia I could not attain anymore. The drinking slowly increased again, more and more, day by day. But this time, before I would let it destroy me, I packed my shit, sold anything I had that would give me money, bought a flight to Thailand and left. My plan? Film a YouTube series about a struggling filmmaker without a clue traveling to Southeast Asia. I know, I'm sorry. I spent 2 months training Muay Thai half the day and writing scripts the other half. The result? I wasn't good at both of them. I mean, it's not that I didn't like it, it was all filmed with only my iPhone and an old GoPro, and I certainly had fun doing it, but it did not bring me the same fulfillment I felt in Estonia, and I realized that I wasn't as good as I thought. I looked at the videos and the views, or the lack of it, and it got to me. This was my plan, my escape from hell, my escape from myself. It did not seem to work. Maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe I'm just a pretentious little wannabe filmmaker, if I'm even worth enough to call myself that. The thoughts got worse from day to day, while on the other hand, I did things like spending a week in the deepest jungle of Borneo with one of the last hunter and gatherer tribes, sleeping in the jungle, partying with Chinese locals who found me after I got lost in the jungle, or diving a shit ton of cool places. But it had no meaning, as strange as it sounds. I lost it somewhere and I couldn't find it. I didn't feel one thing, neither sadness nor happiness, just indifference. I did what my professor told me and I just filmed. But why did just filming made me end up feeling empty? My purpose taken from me, leaving me with nothing. And with that emptiness I flew back home, allowing it to fill me once again, one last time. The truth was that I had unfinished business at home and I was just too stupid to realize. It got so far that I wasn't even able to leave my room without shame, unable to look into people's eyes, afraid that they see that I'm worthless, that I was stupid enough to think I can be someone, that I can be happy. So one day I woke up and decided to quit film school. 1 year before my degree, self-sabotaging myself, taking away the last anchor I had keeping me alive. Cut loose ends. I was ready to die, and I closed my eyes and wished to disappear, once and for all. I wake up afraid, sitting between 2 doors as if I can choose. A bright light shining in my face. The light goes off, darkness. Blue light. to something I don't know if it's me or not, pulling me up the stairs. There's a chest. What's on it? I see a knife. I understand the instructions. My hand getting pulled to the knife. I could end it here once and for all. I don't have to feel this way. I cannot fight anymore. A Deus Ex Machina, the filmmaker's biggest sin apparently. I am really sorry guys. I am really sorry guys that I did that to you. I will never do it again. But in this particular case, I think it made sense because the film is about me and my past, and I do not know what's next to come. But I do know that I never want to be how I once was again, and I think I'm on a very good path to succeed in that idea. Anyway, I rediscovered my love for filmmaking again, and I made this video and I had a lot of fun doing it, even though I used everything someone who just started to film would use, like every fucking effect and blur and shit. But it made so much fun, man. I felt like a child again who rediscovers filmmaking again, and I love it. I just fucking love it, man, and I want to continue this. So yeah, next video will be about Japan.